Hi there, I'm Asbury Park Press staff writer Alex Bice, and today we're talking with LeVar Burton about his new Reading Rainbow iPad app. Well, LeVar, how has the children's reading landscape changed since the start of Reading Rainbow almost 30 years ago?
A good question. The children's reading landscape has changed significantly, much in the way that the entire publishing industry is currently going through a major shift. We've seen that shift, that conversion to digital happen first in music and then in movies and television. And being the oldest of the three giant communications mediums, books is the last to go. And so it's a universe that is full of fear and flux. We feel like we are entering the children's book business at a really good time.
But you don't have to take my word for it.
I know myself and my friends who grew up in the late 70s, early 80s were very, very excited when we heard about this app, especially my friends who have kids. So is that kind of the idea with this app? Is that the brand recognition appeals to parents who grew up with the show in its initial incarnation, and then they'll introduce it to their kids.
That's what we're hoping, yeah. Absolutely. That is part of the blessing, the gift of timing we really feel like we've been given here. When PBS pulled Reading Rainbow out of the Ready to Learn lineup in 2009, due to No Child Left Behind, PBS is a government-sponsored entity. And the Corporation for Public Broadcasting had to really focus its funding efforts on shows that were in alignment with the government requirement to teach kids how to read. You follow me? So there was no funding available for efforts that foster a love of reading in children.
Right. It was more about the how to read and not why to read.
The rudiments. Now, in a civilized society, there has to be room for both. And I politics aside, it's not a policy that makes sense to me. However, that's way above my pay grade, so to speak. Okay, those decisions. So, what was really though surprising and very clear was that the outcry from the generation of people who grew up in the late 70s and the 80s, their fear that there would be nothing for their children like Reading Rainbow was really what drove our decision, Mark's and mine, my business partner Mark Wolf. That really drove our decision to really find a way to bring it back, and we knew immediately that it wasn't going to be a television show anymore. That we really wanted to look into, the emergent field of digital media.
And what was the aha moment for you when was it when you first saw or heard about the tablet and the
iPad was the aha moment, yeah. By that time, we had already engaged in a process. We had established some really good relationships in the Silicon Valley. We had met with venture capitalists and technologists, and we were still trying to figure out what we were going to do with the brand. We hadn't really landed on anything. We had identified and brought on a CEO, a woman named Asra Rashid she's from the gaming industry. And when the iPad came out, the light bulb went on for her, the penny dropped, and she came to Mark and I and shared that she believed she had what our first product line should be with the brand, and that was digital children's books. And it was like, you're right. Let's do that.
And we'll all have cookies and milk? I don't see why not.
So I'm really excited about this new technology of tablet computers and their engagement factor. Everybody who picks up one of these things just becomes immediately engrossed and fascinated in the possibilities, especially when it's done right, when the application is done right, and there's the right balance of engagement of one's attention and one's imagination. That's what we really hope to bring to the table here. There's a lot of content, apps out there for kids. And we're really interested in getting them not to just, push buttons and things. We want them to engage their imaginations, as is only really possible when you're reading, right?